This is Troy Swanson, Legislative Chair for Cook County College Teachers Union, Local 1600. This video is an overview of the issues surrounding Tier 2 and the risk that this inequity causes for our members. The Illinois General Assembly created Tier 2 in 2010 in an effort to reduce pension costs for the state. If you were hired at your college January 1st, 2011 or after, you are automatically part of Tier 2. Tier 2 saves money by reducing the benefits that will be paid out upon retirement to those members. So this threatens the retirement security of members who started on January 1st, 2011 or after. Even though Tier 2 employees get a reduced benefit, they still pay the same amount of their earnings into the system. Tier 1 and Tier 2 pay 8% of earnings into the pension system. So now let's take a look at some of the differences between Tier 1 and Tier 2. The first difference is retirement age. In Tier 1, anyone with 30 years can retire at any age. Or if you have 8 years of service, you can retire at the age of 55. Or if you have 5 years of service, you can retire at the age of 62. Now, Tier 2, the general retirement age is the age of 67 with 10 years of service. Or if you have 10 years of service, you could retire at 62, but you do pay a penalty the earlier you retire. So you can see a big difference here. Tier 2 pushes back the retirement age significantly for those members. A second difference is how the average earnings are calculated upon retirement. In Tier 1, we use the 4 highest consecutive academic years, wherever they may fall. In Tier 2, the average earnings are calculated using the 8 highest consecutive academic years of the last 10 years. So by using 8 years as opposed to 4, it's going to push that average down. And that's the average that is used to calculate your monthly payments as part of your pension. So in Tier 1, it's the 4 highest consecutive. In Tier 2, it's the 8 highest consecutive out of the last 10. So those 8 years, again, really spread out that average. Both Tier 1 and Tier 2 have caps on total earnings when it comes to calculating that average at the end for our retirement. But the differences between Tier 1 and Tier 2 are pretty drastic. For Tier 1, the earnings cap is $330,000 a year, which almost none of our members make that much money. In fact, maybe none of our members make $330,000 a year. This would only impact college presidents, maybe some vice presidents. Very few members fall under this. But Tier 2, many of our members are under this, but not everybody. So Tier 2 uses $123,000 as the earnings cap. There are members that make more than this, and this hugely brings down that average. So think about this, that you're still paying 8%. So if you go above 123,000, you're still paying 8% of that, but you're capped at that 123,000 mark. So this is a significant difference, especially for our faculty members who have been around for over 30 years. It's not uncommon that some people will be over this, and this will have an impact on what that final pension looks like. Now that we've outlined some of the differences between Tier 1 and Tier 2, let's take a look at how these impact employees at different pay levels. So I just want to look at 2 examples. Example 1 is an employee that retires making $140,000 a year. Employee 2 is an employee that retires making $60,000 a year. And you can kind of, guess where you fall into this and see which employee you're more like. I do want to acknowledge, just to say thank you to Antonio Vasquez, who is one of our trustees on the CSRS board. He helped put these together so we can have some trust that these are accurate. So for employee number 1, who is making $140,000 a year, you can see when we look at the numbers, the real impact that the calculations between Tier 1 and Tier 2 have. So for Tier 1, the average over the last 4 years would come out to about $132,000 a year. Where in Tier 2, the average comes out to $122,000 a year, about a $10,000 difference. So when the calculations are used and we look at what the actual payment is once they become pensioners, The pension difference would be $87,000 a year if you were in Tier 1, but only $80,000 a year in Tier 2, so about a $7,000 a year decrease. So that's around $600, $700 a month difference between the payouts of these. So again, people working the same amount, getting the same raises, putting in the same amount of money, and getting $7,000 less a year from Tier 2. So this is that's not nothing. That's a big impact, and really will influence the standard of living of a Tier 2 person versus a Tier 1 person. And when we look at our second example, the employee making $60,000 a year, we see something very similar, right? Like the numbers are smaller, but proportionately a similar impact. So the 4-year average for the Tier 1 person would be about $56,000, where the Tier 2 is $52,000. And we see a $3,000 difference in the annual payout. So the Tier 1 person would be getting $37,000, where Tier 2 is getting $34,000. So roughly, a $250, $300 a month difference. And again, that has significant impact over time, paying the same amount, earning the same amount, getting a different payout at the end of the year. Over the last year, Local 1600, the Illinois Federation of Teachers, and public employee unions across the state have been really spreading the word about the difference between Tier 1 and Tier 2 because the state of Illinois is under pressure to act and make changes. They're under pressure to act because of the safe harbor provision of Social Security. So this is a little bit of the details in the weeds, but just to try to summarize, safe harbor is the provision that allows our state to not pay into Social Security and use that money for our pensions, provided that they offer a comparable retirement system. So SERS has to be equal to or better than Social Security. And thanks to the inflation recently and some other factors, SERS is at risk, along with other public pensions, of not equaling Social Security. And that opens up a great deal of risk for the state of Illinois, and our legislators know this. And so this coming year, they're going to have to do something that addresses this difference. They're going to have to take action, pass legislation to make our pensions equal to or better than Social Security. And that is why we want to bring this to your attention, because we know they need to act, and we want to build up that pressure. This is why we are reaching out to all of our members and asking you to take action to make change. First off, spread the word. Talk to your coworkers, talk to your office mates, talk to your family and friends. Make sure that they know that this issue is before us and now is the time to act. Second, we need all of our members to contact their own legislators. The legislators in Springfield, your state senator and your state representative. The link here is one way that you can get their contact information. You can Google their names and find their office addresses and phone numbers. But if you go to commoncause.org/find-your-representative, type this into your browser, search your address, look for your Illinois state senator and your Illinois state representative. This website will give you their office phone numbers and their email addresses. It is always better to make a phone call if possible, but if you're not the kind of person that wants to make a phone call, you can also send an email. That is okay. Finally, I want to invite you to join us for a rally in Springfield. The We Are One Coalition is a coalition of unions across Illinois. It is not just teachers, it is all public sector employee unions. And we are speaking up and asking for fairness in our pensions. On November 13th, 2024, we will all be going to Springfield for a major rally so that they cannot ignore us. We all need to show up and get as many people to be there as possible. Local 1600 will cover mileage, and we will also cover lunch. So keep an eye out for more information on this. We hope that you can join us and make a difference. Our union is made up of all of the community colleges of Cook County. We have nearly 5,000 members, but our strength does not come from our union officers. It does not come from our chapter leaders. Our strength comes from all of our members taking action. And on Tier 2, now is the time for us to step forward and make a difference. This is for the retirement security of our members for our future. Thank you.